Either we talk politics or we talk culture here.
Right. Let's take a breath and talk neither for a second.
No,
you were mentioning President Bush's visit there. Well, our camera team asked both Jews and Arabs in Jerusalem if they had just one chance to ask President Bush just one question, what would it be? Here's what they had to say.
If I can ask President Bush only one question, it will be, why do you let Ehud Olmert, the slaughtering and the campaign in Gaza Street, continue day after day? Why do you do it? Thank you.
I asked him before he talk about any peace process that he stay here 1 month to see how Palestinian people suffers from Israel, who kills kids and women and young people.
First of all, I would like to invite him to see the separation wall. I didn't want him to see the flowers in Tel Aviv and only. I want him to see the separation wall, which separates the families from each other, the schools from the students, the farmers from their land.
If I had one opportunity to ask President Bush one question, excuse me, it would be, are you really serious about helping promote peace in this region?
I would ask him why he doesn't help to release the Israeli soldiers that captured in Lebanon.
If I had the opportunity to ask President Bush a question, this would be if he can claim any success in the Middle East. Really, I don't think we have seen any change in this region coming out of his efforts.
I might ask him to put pressure on Israel, do the right thing in the last year that he has in office, and pressure Israel to get out of the West Bank and establish the Palestinian state that he talks about.
I should ask him why don't he attack Iran, because Israel is under a big problem. If the Iranian will have the atomic bomb, maybe there is no Israel anymore. So you should do something about it.
I want to ask him until when USA and USA government will support the occupation, and we have fed up because of this occupation, the checkpoints, the settlements, settlers, until when USA will support this occupation.
Why he did a 180-degree U-turn about Israel? Because he was a great friend of Israel, and now he is turning, and he seems to think, I don't know what the pressure is, but he has changed his mind, and I think he's now far more for a two-state solution than he was in the past. And I would ask him why.
Well, that's the view from the street. Let's take the discussion back into Inside Story here. Samih, I want to start with you once again. Do you agree with those who say that culture can only play a role in this conflict in terms of reconciliation only after there's been justice and there's been a real political reconciliation in the ground?
You know, we are talking about the peace process, and the peace process is not new. The so-called peace process, it started with Bill Clinton with the Oslo Accords, going through Wye River, Camp David II, and now we have the roadmaps. I think all of these peace processes, the so-called peace processes that come from above, that come from governments, from the Israeli and from the American government, are not good for anybody.
Right.
I think that the solution,
very briefly, wrap up here,
shall come from the bottom.
Okay.
The people must say their word, and here we come to culture. Lenin has once said,
right,
give me stage, I give you a revolution. So here I see our place.
Right. Itamar, in a minute, do you think...
First, I totally agree with Samih.
The first time that you've agreed together, you two guys, so that's, maybe we're on to something.
And the first time you did not interrupt.
Do you think that sometimes the negativity expressed in the popular culture can become a self-fulfilling prophecy?
Of course, yeah. I think, yeah, and if you heard what Iman said just a moment before, she said Jews are always welcome in Palestine, but not as a nation and not as a state. So if this is the common ground that we are supposed to build our culture on, so this is what you said. You said Jews came from Europe.
Right, we'll give you a chance to speak.
Now you're interrupting. You accuse me of interrupting all the time. Jews came from Europe. I'm just quoting you. It's not acceptable here. No, as a people living as a neighbors, as you put it, in a Palestinian society, faddal. But when it's a Jewish state, next to, and we say next to a Palestinian state, no, because the Palestinian wants the whole of Israel.
Okay, but what I was getting
the whole of Palestine. So this is a bad common ground to build something on. I think the majority of the Israeli society are willing for compromise, are willing to give the West Bank. Most of the people believe that we should evacuate the settlements. I agree to that. But truly, the Palestinians made me not to believe them, that they truly want anything from us. I don't believe peace.
Okay,
that George Bush will give us
we've only
peace.
got a minute left,
They
I want to
should
give a minute to Iman. You were holding yourself back, and now it's time to let you speak.
Yes. Well, I don't want to be only like answering his what he said or commenting, but I just have to say that I'm glad that Itamar is here, because this really shows the world how a majority of the Israelis think. And they don't believe in our right, and therefore...
I just said that we believe. I just said that we believe in a Palestinian
But 2 minutes ago...
You don't believe.
No, but 2 minutes ago...
Hang on, let her have
I just said that.
Before we run out of
2
time.
minutes ago you said you don't believe that there is even occupation, or you don't want this terminology.
It's not
but
true.
anyway...
10 seconds, Iman, to wrap,
Yes, 10
please.
seconds. I do believe that culture has a big role. First of all, the role of the culture is really to give voice to the voiceless and to be an agent of change.
Right.
For me, my focus and my work is on two levels.
We'll have to, I'm sorry, we are running out of time, so perhaps you'll explain those levels in another episode later on. Iman Aoun, actress and director of the Ashtar Theatre, thank you very much for joining us. Itamar Ben Cnaan, the cultural editor of Ha'ir newspaper, thank you for being here. And Samih Jabareen, a filmmaker from Jaffa, thank you. And thank you, the viewer, for joining us here on this special edition of Inside Story from Jerusalem. Stay with Al Jazeera.
Sometimes fiction has a deeper truth than the banality of facts.
Well, I hope that it resonates across cultures and generations.
There's a certain kind of film that I don't seem to have been able to make.
These anti-Iraq war films are happening right now with troops on the ground.
I want them to be disturbed and angry the way I am and stop this war.
Filmmakers talk movies. The Fabulous Picture Show on Al Jazeera.
Well, failures in Iraq would be devastating for all of you.
We were never there for the oil. We're not there for the water.
The situation is still under control. Nobody in the Middle East or the world believes any of this nonsense.
It is beyond rumors right now. It's evidence.
These are extraordinary accusations.
The Iranian strategy is very clear, trying to take over of the area.
Well, Jassim, what I would say is this is a very tough fight.
Inside Iraq on Al Jazeera.
In the final year of his presidency, and with the Middle East at a critical point, President Bush travels to Jerusalem. Al Jazeera will be there with first-hand reports and exclusive interviews. Bush in Jerusalem on Al Jazeera.
On the next Riz Khan Show, we speak with former President of Mexico, Vicente Fox, about his country's relations with the US. Contact us with questions and comments by email and mobile phone text. Riz Khan, after the news on Al Jazeera.